Hello folks, it's GAC. We are unfortunately having to re-record the audio here. Originally I had used audio from a CD that I had, but instead of just getting a copyright claim that, puts ads on it or whatever, they decided that the proper course of action was to make it unable to be viewed anywhere in the world. So, basically the copyright holder killed the video. So, screw you, copyright holder. I like By God 20, but yeah, they killed the video. So instead what we're doing is we're watching the video that I recorded muted, and I'm just re-recording audio over it. So here we went with a standard Wampa team versus Mon Mothma. Nothing too fancy here. I mean, it's just kind of the basic. You let Wampa go. You do the icebreaker every now and then to top up your protection. And this is where I noticed that Kyle had 30 stacks of damage over time. Yeah, this is a pretty standard fight, nothing too special. That's what I was saying about re-upping the protection, so that, when it gets a little thin, you smash again and pop it up. And yeah, now it's just Wampa, just obliterating everything. And there we go. Easy victory. So we'll skip ahead. This is, as you can see, we've got a Jedi Master Luke. For some reason there, I thought that he didn't have all the Zetas. One of the things to keep in mind is this is a poorly modded Jedi Master Luke. He is modded for protection. I believe his arrow had speed on it, I don't remember, but his triangle, cross, and circle were all protection. If you're going to run, I mean, I can see why you would do it, because his, I think his hand-wavy ability, either that or his leadership ability, one or the other, does damage based on his protection. But if you're going to put him in a team like this, with Bast lead, and especially also adding in Watt, you're trying for an enormous bonus protection pool. If you're going to do that, what you want is to base it on, you want his health to be high so that that pool is just massive. By giving him all this protection, I don't think it works as much. It might mean that Watt heals more now that I think about it, but I'm not entirely sure that's a good trade-off, because especially if you're doing this to try and stop a C counter, I've already stolen all of his protection. And that's the other thing, I've stolen that protection, so that just makes my C even more massive. As soon as I punch through that protection when C goes ultimate, speaking of, we can skip ahead a little bit here. Once C goes to his ultimate, and I punch through that protection, he's got nothing left. Yeah, okay. I take it off auto here. So they do their thing, and then we do that, and nuke everybody. And then, yeah, at this point you can just put it on auto. There's no reason not to. I was getting a little worried because some of those shots weren't counteracting his healing, but a good chunk of them were. So it's just a matter of slowly chewing through that protection. He's gaining it back, but C will get his ultimate here in a minute. There it is. And that takes care of the protection. And once that protection's gone, there's nothing left. So that was a pretty good win. And then next, I believe I went after the bounty hunters with my Imperial troopers. Again, nothing special here. I've got the time codes for the other one, so I can skip ahead. None of my video players that I have, I couldn't notice a way to play things at double speed. I suppose I could have loaded up the locked video on YouTube and done it that way, but that just seems a little ridiculous. So we're doing it this way. No big. I can skip. And if my voice sounds a little screwed up, I am getting over a sinus infection. So I've got kind of a head voice going on here. And yeah, we're just finishing off Dangar. There's really nothing to see here. And next, okay, then I think I hem and haw a little bit here. As you can see from the score, Dr. Bast, whichever, he's attacking at the same time. This upcoming fight was weird. So that's 80,000 health and 37,000 protection. I don't think I checked in Malak. But, okay, so she's modded for offense, which is kind of stupid with a Gear 12 Talon. And this is a slow Bastila. 61, yeah. I'm not sure what's going on. This fight is really fast. But let's skip ahead. Yeah, I do a bunch of popping around, looking at things. Also, in the beginning of this video, I talked about the Farm Boy Luke Omicron. It's a territory war. It's not a bad one. Apparently, there's a potential for an infinite loop with Wedge, but even setting that aside, a relic Farm Boy is going to be something of a monster, especially if you get him really fast. Setting aside potential infinite loops, because that's not a primary concern. Yeah, check this hit out. Just wrecks Bastila. I don't know. She went down a lot faster than I thought. Anyway, and there goes the Sith Trooper. Yeah, and I don't think Gas ever sits down in this fight. Anyway, whoops. Yeah, that's right. I accidentally closed it. Talking about Farm Boy, he gets 10% stacking defense and offense. So if you can get him fast enough and taking enough turns, he is just going to get super thick, and he's just going to wreck whoever he's facing, and he'll have the Zeta, so he's also getting stacking crit damage. So, I mean, in a protracted fight, he's just going to turn into a monster. Kind of like how the original Kylo Ren, the more times you hit him in a turn, the tougher and tougher and tougher he gets until you're doing like 2 points of damage. Well, Luke's going to be like that, except all the time. So it's kind of scary. Alright, so with this, I hemmed and hawed a bit on doing this because Well, also I hemmed and hawed on gas. Yeah, that Rey is not very tough. Yeah, there, she's already. But basically what I decided was, I didn't think he was going to have a back row Kenobi. I decided to take the risk of just assuming that there's no back row Kenobi. And this is me trying desperately to drop Rey before she goes nuclear and failing. So then it turns into just trying to remove her inspired, because I don't want her pumping mastery, and then there she's getting healed. But this is also just me trying to heal up my party ahead of her nonsense. Yeah, because that hit will hurt. So then we smack Holdo. Yeah. And now we're just, again, focusing hard on Rey to try and get rid of her, because once she's gone, the cleanup's easy. And there I almost lose Revan. But, yep. Figured as long as I could drop her before she whirlwinds, I can always just resurrect him. And then everyone heals up. And then it's just clean up. Luke goes into badass mode. And we just start carving everybody up. I switched over there because I was like, oh, he's gonna have damage immunity. Well, forgetting that it already come out of it because it's so fast. And this is me, as Zareth would say, playing with my food. Trying to get some healing up, and then realizing that, realizing that Jedi Knight's about the only one that's going to get it, and figuring, you know what, screw it, I'll just drop him. And then coming up, alright, and then at this point I'm like, screw it, I'll just do this quick and dirty. Heinous overkill, but I figure, you know what? I'll take the max banners. I was editing this video, but then I started clipping things out, and I was like, yeah. By the time, I mean, even just opening it up in Resolve and selecting mute on the audio track, it was still going to be annoyingly long render times. It's like, you know what, I'll just re-record it. And that way you actually get some commentary as opposed to a hour-long video of nothing. And then, yeah, there we go. We just got everybody dying from dots. And just because I can, I decide to pop the ultimate and bash in Mesa's head. Alright, so that was pretty nothing. And 5 minutes to the next fight, so it looks like I'm just dancing around looking at stuff. Whoops, went too far. So yeah, I decided to run Starkiller against this Bando team. Because, you know, my Mara Jade is, while not anywhere near the fastest in the game, she's very fast. She's going to outspeed anybody here. So I figured, alright, we'll do it this way. Just run this team. I mean, I've got the jerk. I'm not sure why that doesn't AoE all the time. I thought it was supposed to. I'm still learning his kit. I'm not entirely familiar with it. And I was like, oh, he didn't have stagger. Well, I'll just stun everyone. And then I don't stun him. So I was like, alright, well, I'll just blow you up. And then it's just... yeah, it's just... kind of sad. I don't know if Starkiller even... no, he doesn't get it. I don't think he gets a turn. Nope. Yeah, that horrible overkill. And now we're getting into the mess. Incidentally, this is what my side still looks like as of like an hour ago. I've got one hold on dash, no attacks on Mon Mothma. So that's where we're sitting right now. So, let's see. Yeah, I bounce back and forth quite a bit here, trying to decide what I'm going to do before I make my first mistake, which is I decide to run Galactic Republic under Padme, figuring, well, they'll do a bunch of out-of-turn attacks, and that's just going to dump, you know, courage. So, we're going to inflate. They're not going to be able to do anything. We're going to be all good. Well, no. And I decided to put Barris in there to give a little bit more survivability. But it does not go well. It's like, alright, yeah, I expected the days. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I was like, alright, I can handle the days. You know, they'll do that. My theory was, what's-his-nuts there in the background would keep doing the turn meter. You know, remove all turn meter from everybody, and then give turn meter to Imps. And I'm like, well, I am immune to turn meter manipulation, so he'll tank his team's turn meter, and then we'll inch up and get a turn, and we can do it that way, even with the days. Well, as you can see, that doesn't work out very well, because they get so many turns. And even though they're stuck shooting Kenobi, that's actually helping them. So they're popping Kenobi left and right, and then funneling turns to Gideon, or any of them that have AoEs, and so the AoEs are hitting everybody. And they're not getting any protection up because all the shots are going to Kenobi. And their damage is just inflating, so those AoEs are taking out more and more and more and more. So I actually got concerned that I'd be stuck and either time out or something, but I eventually get a turn. And potentially make my second mistake, but I'm not entirely sure that was a mistake. Because having skills on cooldown doesn't matter that much. So I'm like, alright, what am I going to do? I didn't want to bring bounty hunters in because my fear was I'd get one kill and then they'd get melted. Or that I wouldn't even get to that kill and they'd get melted. Just like, I didn't want to do that. So then I think, alright, I'll use Treya. And I think I undersize it too. I'll use Treya. All those attacks out of turn will damage them. Plus, you know, yeah, Nihilus is dazed, but he's gaining speed every time someone else gets a debuff. And, you know, they're taking damage, so we'll be healing on all their abilities. You know. Well, the problem with that is they're also healing. Because they're gaining Emperor's Trap, so they're gaining buffs, which heals them. So that was a miserable failure, and I start getting mad. Tried to figure out what the hell I'm gonna use to beat this team, and starting to honestly wonder if I am gonna be stuck behind this team and not be able to clear. And so that's when I decide on this Vader team. And I'm trying to decide if I want to use Thrawn or what I want to use. I'm not sure that I want to use Thrawn because I might need him elsewhere, because I have other teams to kill. So it's, you know, the balancing act. So I'm looking through it, not sure what to do. And then I think I just say, screw it, go for Sith, and go for Dooku. Because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use Dooku. I didn't know if he'd do anything, because, again, days. So the logic behind this team is Malak. And it doesn't matter how much turn meter they gain. Eventually they're going to hit Malak, and they're going to crit. And then they're going to have fear. And counterattacks. So I'm trying to take out Veers. That's my goal. Alright, Veers is gone, so that slows down their turn meter gain. They're no longer gaining it for buffs, because the turn meter gain on buffs is a function of his unique, not his leadership. His leadership is just giving him speed and healing and stuff. So, we fire up Vader. And we're running Vader in the lead because what else am I going to do? And because it'll keep those debuffs on him. Those damage over time. So they'll... The thought being with a couple tanks, I can keep Vader alive and keep those buffs. Or, keep those debuffs. But it's still really messy. Yep, I'm stuck behind a taunt or a focus or whatever it is. Luckily, as those debuffs disappear and then reappear, I heal up Vader. So, a lousy 25 banners. But I get through it. And then it's a little thinking, and I finally decide to go with Aurra Singh's Bounty Hunters for this team. I had considered Night Sisters, but I didn't want to because of Django. Because he can ignore taunt and permakill, and he's Relic 7. Felt a little spicy for my taste. So I go with pretty standard Aurra Singh team, and I decide to try and stun him. And then I realize... Oh, then I stun Django, because he's also a risk. We do that to give her some turn meter. Get rid of him. But then I'm like, well, I might as well just finish him off. And nuke Django. I'm like, wow, this is going really well. And then I remember that Nute is made of tissue paper. And Nest is made of tissue paper. So we finish it off, 65 banners. Much easier than I was expecting. And there should only be 2 teams left. Iden and ROLO. So I decide to use Maul. But I'm not sold on armor, so I take her out. Because what I want to do is use Droideka, because my Droideka has been remodded for speed. And Droideka gains 50% speed when not got damage immune. So my Droideka is 3-something speed. So Iden goes. Droideka goes, and Maul starts with Frenzy, so Maul goes. Because he had dropped a fight against my Iden team, so and I'd already dropped 2 against the Imps. So I was really kind of nervous about this fight. And at first I was nervous because I had forgotten about the whole heal on out-of-turn attacks, and kind of forgotten that that's what Maul does. But then I remembered that Maul's damage stacks each time he uses his ability consecutively. It's like, yeah, I'll overpower. That AoE was a bad idea. Because everyone counterattacked. And then I stop and have a realization. Whistling birds, defeated enemies can't be revived. So I do that. And Iden's gone, and she stays dead. Now, they'll still heal on out-of-turn attacks, as you'll see in a minute here. That's okay. Because this is Magma Trooper, and Bando is Relic. So I get 64 banners. So all that's left is ROLO. And I decide to not screw around and just take in Bad Batch. Mainly because Echo will go first and he'll put daze on everybody. ROLO team gets scary because every time they get a debuff, they get a turn meter. Well, if you daze everybody, then it stops that. Except for Fulcrum there. But turns out Fulcrum's not that big of a threat. Because they just don't have the health. So now we're going to move into ships. And we've got Raddus, Chimera, and Executor. So I take on the Executor first using my Separatists. If you didn't notice, it's only a 4-star Executor, so it's... Malevolence is pretty reliable against that. I probably could have used my 5-star Executor, but... yeah, don't want the mirror. So we load in, and right about this time is when I realize it's IG instead of Xanadu, which kind of throws me for a loop. I wouldn't say that it works out for him, but it certainly surprises me. And then we just sort of... I mean, you know how this goes. We're just sort of biding our time. We're going to blow up ships so that we can gain some turn meter. I pull in spy. I probably didn't need to, because there was no Xanadu to get rid of. Now, I would like you to keep in mind... excuse me, drainage. I would like you to keep in mind that my TIE fighter only dodged when he had foresight. Keep that in mind. That was a waste. There goes spy. Load you up. Get the chafe. I was hoping that would do more damage. More turn meter for my ship. Xanadu's down. And we're just gonna keep plinking away at Houndstooth there. Alright, so they get their contract, which is unfortunate. I get my ult, which is nice. And we drop some bombs on everybody. That charge hurts. Pull out Sunfac because might as well. We waste that. He was already stunned. And that takes care of Houndstooth. And fail. Get another Vulture droid, and there goes my ship. But I'm feeling confident. All I've got to do is take out Razor Crest. So, at this point, I figure I've got a good chance of doing it. And even if I don't, almost any fleet can do that. So we get 60 banners against Executor, which isn't terrible. Riding high. We go to the Chimera. I figure I'll just use Executrix. That ought to do it. No problem. I leave the slot open. I don't need it. It's just Executrix. I could just put this on auto and win. So, here we are. like, okay, Vader's the biggest threat, so we'll start with him. A little annoyed that I couldn't finish him off, but I'm like, alright, the AoE will get him. And we hit the TIE pilot, so it's not that big a deal. And now we got this doofy little thing. Alright, I can deal with that too. And now we're just getting rocked. And we didn't get the double tap, which is annoying. And I'm trying to decide if I want to heal or bring in. And I decide I want to heal. Bringing in might have been the better play. I'm still not sold. So Razor Crest gets a dodge. Good for Razor Crest. And we start taunting again. And that's just double checking. We got the breach reward. Alright, so the TIE interceptor's gone. So now we pull an IG. That up. So now we've got the TIE and the scimitar. Like, well, crap. All right. Dodge, dodge. 2 dodges. Boom. There goes Houndstooth. Dodge, dodge. 4 dodges. So I switch over here so that I can quit feeding turn meter while I get my nuke. And there goes Xanadu. And I'm starting to wonder where my life went so wrong. Well, that dodge was for foresight. Dodge. Dodge. 6 dodges. 7. And there's the second nuke. And I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to actually win this fight. And finally get a hit. After 7 dodges in a row. So I blow up their ship. And now it doesn't really matter. And so now he stops dodging. 7 dodges in a row. I gotta know, folks, has your TIE fighter ever gotten that much dodging? Have you ever had luck like that? All of that turn meter. So much turn meter being fed to the ship. So at this point, I was really cranky. I hadn't counted the dodges, but I knew that there had been a lot. So I say, screw it, I'm taking Tarkin. Empire usually does pretty good against Raddus because the bomber removes all the foresight to keep Raddus from nuking a ship. But we've had 2 fights now where a ship's gotten blown up, so a little risky. Then I figure, you know what? We'll take out the tank because that helps make this fleet work better. And I'm reading the kit because I really don't know what all this ship can do. It like removes buffs. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. Getting ruthless. It's like, oh, okay, a bunch of damage, but 5-star ship, gear 8, pilot. I mean, I don't care about damage. TIE, interceptor. And I'm like, well, alright. And I figure I'll remove some buffs. And set everyone on fire. In space. and Vader can't miss, so I drop him. He's one of the bigger threats, because he can do a whole bucket of damage, but usually on reinforcement, not starting. So we hit everything, and I figure, I'll heal up my tank. And then this jerk comes in, and almost leads to the demise of my tank. Get rid of you. Desperately pulling the shuttle. To do that. Heal up. And set you on fire. And done. 68. Nice and clean. So, final score. Like I said, as of right now, or hour and a half, 2 hours ago, this is still the final score. As far as when I last looked, he still hadn't beaten either of those teams, and that's a dash team with. I'll show you. So it's a dash team with Han, Chewie, Vandor, and L3. Vandor is, I'm going to gear him up a little bit more to make him more resilient in this team. The really nice thing is with Dash and the Prepare, that's sending Han's already high damage even higher. And, whoops, went too far. There we go. This will do for the roster review. Starkiller this morning, I got him up to Relic 6, thanks to the Rebel Roundup event. Stormtrooper we're working on because we're starting the SLKR. Since Starkiller is getting all my relics, I grabbed someone that wasn't Gear 12 yet. So, it's him. Fennec and Second Sister, we are slow farming. I took Ninth Sister out because I've got other priorities. But Second Sister, I want to get her up just because she's a pilot. And Fennec I'm working on because she's a somewhat reliable counter to Vader. And it'd just be nice to have her in my pocket. Like I said, Starkiller is now Relic 6. He's pretty great. I can't wait until I get the Omicron for him so I can really get some use out of him. The only other thing I'm working on, only other big thing that happened was I brought Jolie Bando up to Relic 2. He was at 12 plus 2, but I had parts and did a little focus farming to bring him up to 12 plus 2 Relic 2 to potentially use in Kenobi counters and various other things like that. So there we go. Re-recorded. We're all good to go. Plus side, it's about 20 minutes shorter this way. So that's going to do it for me. I feel like crap. And I'll probably see you next week. Vacation stuff is a little weird right now, so I'll poke around and we'll see. I'll probably either have 3 videos, all 3 GAC videos, or none of them. So we'll see how that shakes out. But until next time, folks, have a good one.